Hello and welcome to The Ring, Euronews's weekly debate show broadcasting from the European Parliament in Brussels. I'm Stefan Grobe. On The Ring, debaters go face-to-face on some of the biggest political issues facing Europe. Today, we want to talk about the latest from the war in Ukraine. What's the answer to Russian drone attacks? And what can European diplomacy achieve? Luis Albertos explains.
As the war in Ukraine grinds into its fifth summer, a peaceful solution remains as elusive as ever. The same can be said about a clear European strategy. Nowhere is this more evident than in the European response to the ongoing violations of EU airspace by Russian drones. The latest incident in Romania last week yielded strong condemnation, but nothing more. This is frustrating especially the Baltic republics, who fear to be in the Russian crosshairs next. Is Europe just eager to avoid a more serious confrontation with Moscow? Are some European leaders concerned that they might jeopardize their potential role as mediators in this conflict? And is this even realistic, as Europe remains Ukraine's strongest political and economic backer?
A lot to unpack here for our contenders, and here they are.
Rasa Juknevičienė, a Lithuanian MEP from the center-right European People's Party. She is the vice chair of the delegation to the Euronest Parliamentary Assembly and a member of the Committee of Foreign Affairs. One of the most outspoken voices on European security, she said, "I do not believe in deals with Putin. Peace negotiations are possible, but only after a ceasefire." Merja Kyllönen, a Finnish MEP from the left and a member of the Committee on Security and Defense. A former Finnish transport minister, she has been a vocal supporter of Ukraine and has called for frozen Russian assets to be made available to support the country. She has also warned against complacency towards Moscow. In some countries, there is still a naive attitude towards Russia, she said, arguing that Europe must take the Russian threat seriously.
So let me welcome to the ring Rasa Juknevičienė and Merja Kyllönen. Great to have you here, both of you.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Hello.
Now, the aim of the ring is to offer our viewers a glimpse at European Parliament debates, so you should feel right at home. Are you ready?
Yes.
Good. Now, I want to start with that incident that happened last week, the Russian drone attack, the drone that crashed into an apartment building in Romania. After that, EU leaders portrayed it not as an isolated incident, but as evidence that Russia's war against Ukraine is increasingly spilling across borders. Now, what conclusion should Europe draw now? Merja, I start with you.
Definitely condemns is not enough. We need to fix up our capability, secure our countries, our people, because scariness is the biggest weapon which Russia is using. And scariness, when it's going ahead, it makes us weak. And I think the drones, all the security which we can do with drone. We have speak about the drone wall, but we need more sensors, the new technology, and definitely use money wisely over the military budget also, because there's other operators which are dealing with these cases. And for example, I have learned it from my home country, Finland, that we haven't been able to activate the system in other parts than only the military side. And I think the civil societies are urgent in this case.
Rasa, you're from Lithuania, a country that, as we heard, is always, at the crosshairs of Russia. So everybody believes. When you hear this news after Romania, after the incursions in the Baltic states, in Poland, what is your take?
My take is the same as it was in the very beginning when this war started, and not only in 2022, but in 2014. We were warning all the time, Europe, NATO, other many countries that it's serious. It's not only regional war somewhere. And today, I think we are in a better situation as European Union, as many NATO countries, because we have almost right diagnosis on the table. As medical doctor in the past, I have to say, and it's very important for politicians as well, first of all, to have the right diagnosis. Drones are only one piece of the whole picture, puzzle, which we have. So the whole picture is that Russia is a colonial, imperialistic state, and they will not stop just with Ukraine or only a piece of Ukraine. So this diagnosis not yet on agenda, on the table in all the countries. So if we want to have a proper treatment against drones, I don't know, against everything, we have to understand that we have to help Ukraine to win this war and to not to be afraid to defeat Putin. It was mentioned fair in this short video. No, we don't feel fair because we, like Ukrainians, we would like to convince others not to be afraid to defeat this evil of 21st century.
And they want to make us weak. Make us fight together.
Yes.
Make us not trust to each other. That's the political game. That's the colonial kind of game also, what they are using.
NATO condemned this attack, but stopped short of treating it as an armed attack that could trigger Article 5, the famous self-defense, collective defense clause. Was this the right thing to do? Sort of condemning it, but also signaling that we don't think this is a casus belli.
I'm a little bit worried that we are waiting the big bang to happen because Russia is testing us. And when it will happen that something bigger comes, either to Baltic countries, either to Finland or to Poland, I think we are the next targets. And the diplomacy and condemn things, okay, it helps us a little bit, but actually something which is much more than this is the power that we need to say it out loud, that we are not giving up.
Now, the Russians are saying, and obviously that apartment building in Romania was a sort of a random target. The Russians are saying that it's actually Ukraine's fault because they're jamming the airwaves and that makes drones difficult to operate. What do you make of this argument?
Look, it is not the case to start to look drone, Ukrainian, Russian or something else. Russia is responsible for this war. Russia is responsible for all drones in Ukraine, in our space, or Putin is responsible that people of Russia now is suffering because of Ukrainian response. They are defending themselves. So here, coming back to the question about NATO response, what is lacking, I think, to understand that we are strong enough to be able to help Ukraine to win and not to be afraid. And Putin has to get a message that we are strong and we are ready. Now situation is a little bit better. But remember, in the very beginning of this large-scale war, what messages were sent to Putin? Oh, please, for us, for everybody, we are afraid of the World War III. Don't attack Russian targets deep in Russia. We will not provide Leopards. We will not provide with long-range missiles. What was the message to Putin? The message was, we are afraid. So today we have to say in a very clear way, we have enough resources to do everything the best to defend ourselves, including the targets in Russia. Don't be afraid for that, because if we are afraid of escalation, so Putin is opportunistic.
Okay, so has our response been lukewarm so far?
I think we as eastern borderline countries have a different side of this picture than, for example, in the central part of Europe. And that worries me a lot, because this is also a media war. because the information we give to other countries, information we give to Russia, the Russian people, I still can go to Spain or France and see in the telly the Russian news. And it shocks me because it means that we don't act like we are all in war with Russia.
Speaking about worry, so after this incident, Dmitry Medvedev, who you all know, the deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council, said this, and I quote, "EU countries need to shut up on this matter. European states are direct participants in the war against Russia. This will continue to happen, and EU citizens will not be able to sleep peacefully." How worried should we be?
So what? So what? We, of course, are at war helping Ukraine to win. Of course, we are at war because Russia is conducting already hybrid warfare in our member states. So we have to admit this and not to be afraid what Medvedev is saying. It's vice versa. Look, you mentioned Russia Today or all those outlets in other European countries. Imagine if during the World War II, Hitler propaganda would be broadcasted in countries they are fighting against Hitler. So today we have this totalitarian regime with the very concrete name Ruski Mir, Russian world. And this is exactly the same as it was maybe in 21st century, Hitler and Stalin together. So we have to admit, all of us, if we are fighting, we have to fight.
All right, let me stop you here. As we're just getting warmed up, it's time now for Gloves Off. Now we want viewers to get a real flavor of the European Parliament chamber, where members ask each other questions. That means we want our debaters to challenge each other directly, just as you do in the normal hemicycle. So let's get started. Rasa, let's start with you.
My question is, what is your assessment of Donald Trump's nearly year-long efforts to negotiate deals with Putin?
I hate the situation that he is dealing over us. I got the feeling that we need stronger leadership in EU. I have said that if the bigger ones can't do it, we as a smaller EU countries should do that. I'm not saying that diplomacy is the case, how we can solve all the problems, but we are partners with Ukraine. And in any case, in every way, we can support Ukraine in this situation. It's urgently needed to be done. And I wouldn't let these two guys destroy our future and decide over Europe and over Ukraine.
I'm sure we come to this point later, but now your question to Rasa.
You have said that EU cannot be a neutral mediator. I agree. Europe is not neutral between an aggressor and victim, but if the US and Russia talk about Europe's security architecture and Russia drones are violating our airspace, who should speak for Europe with one clear mandate? Ukraine's sovereignty, pressure on Russia, and protection of European citizens. Who
Interesting question.
You know, I don't believe in Putin's engagement to talk, to start any negotiations. Today, we have quite different situation as it was 1 year ago. And I think Putin, and he feels, I think at least his surroundings, they feel that they are not winning this war. Maybe not losing, but they are not winning this war. And they are really in very difficult situation. So that's why they are trying to escalate situation. It's not, it's dangerous, of course, we have to take it seriously, but nevertheless not to start negotiations about everything. About the future of Russia, about everything. We have to start to talk with him. First precondition is ceasefire. And then to start to talk about the peace. but not about, everything. So today what I am missing in those talks among European leaders to start or not to start negotiations, the content, the understanding. We just started our show, our conversation about the right diagnosis. So until we don't have this right diagnosis, what we would like to achieve, and that is the evil of 21st century. So I can't imagine negotiations with Hitler in 1943 or 44. So for me, it's exactly the same lesson of history we have to learn.
Okay, so, well, we've heard the views from our guests so far. Now it's time to hear from a new voice. For our quote of the week, I would like to bring in Kaja Kallas, the EU's chief diplomat. At the latest EU summit in Cyprus, she said this: Russia wants us to discuss who talks to them, and they are already picking who is suitable for that. Let's not walk into that trap. Are we walking into a trap here? Your comment, Merja.
Yes, we shouldn't make things like that he can choose who is the operator.
So there are basically two schools of thought here. One says people are dying in this conflict. We need to put an end to this. That's why we need to find a negotiated solution. And the other position is it's Russia's war. Russia is not interested in negotiations, so we need to continue the fight until they withdraw or until they lost the war. Rasa, where do you come down on this?
Look, it is not what we believe or not will happen. It already happened. 1 year of negotiations or attempts to make a deal with Putin from Washington, D.C. failed.
You mean with the American-led effort?
Let's admit it. It failed. So is it something new? It is somehow, but also it cost a lot. Ukrainian lives. It cost a lot. And we were very close to legitimization of Putin's regime if Putin would be clever enough to agree on those, I would say, to make the deal which was proposed. It didn't happen. I don't know what will happen in the future, but now we have to strengthen our own defense. We have to help Ukraine as much as possible today.
Yeah.
This is the main precondition for the future, just peace in the future.
Yeah.
The only precondition.
Merja, would you say that we need to wait until the solution is found on the battlefield, until Ukraine won the war, and then we can talk, and not earlier?
I think we need to definitely pressure Russia much more hard weapons than we are using now.
How can we do that?
I mean the financial, the market, all the things we can do with the oil, with systems we have, the capability which EU have in others than only the military help to Ukraine. But I think we need also support more Ukraine.
Militarily,
really,
you mean?
Militarily, yeah.
So all these top weapons that so far we haven't given them, we should give them.
Yes.
Everything they need. Everything they need. Look, I like this name, how they call strikes deep to Russia. They call it like long-range sanctions. It works. It works. Russia has to feel, they have to feel that they are at war. Russians as well, unfortunately. And I have very many friends from Russian opposition. I know how painful it is for all sides when war is going on, but nevertheless, no one war was won only defending yourself. It's, as a former Minister of Defense, I have to say this. It's reality. It is like textbook of every war. So when we were afraid to damage something inside Russia, we were wrong. We could win this war already together with Ukrainians, or maybe help more Ukraine to win this war if end of 2022, beginning 23, when Ukrainians pushed back Russians from Kherson and Kharkov, that was a very good moment to provide Ukrainians with everything they needed. We were afraid to do this. We were afraid.
All right. let's keep defense spending for another conversation in a moment, and let's take a break now here on The Ring. We'll be back with more after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to The Ring, Euronews' weekly debate show. I'm Stefan Grob, and I'm joined by Rasa Juknevičienė from the European People's Party from Lithuania and Merja Kyllönen from the Left Group from Finland. At this point, let's take a look at European defense spending since the start of the war in Ukraine. EU defense spending went from more than 200 billion euros in 2021 to almost 350 billion in 2024. This represents an increase of more than 60%. Defense spending reached almost 2% of EU GDP in 2024, up from 1.6% in 2023. Now, 25 of the 27 EU member states boosted defense spending in 2024. Now, your comments hearing these figures, Merja.
I want more strategic thinking around EU, using our defense money smartly.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means that we need to have common projects where we build up the security about air defense, air security, build up a new resilient systems around EU, because the common peace of our citizens is also the key to be prepared, as our former president Sauli Niinistö in his report tried to teach us.
So
what worries me is that we don't have seen the whole picture. I think we are well prepared with Baltic country, with Poland, the eastern borderline. But how we can connect all the others to understand.
So is it really more money, or is it spending the money that we have in a better way, a more efficient way?
It's also more money. But the key issue is using it smartly, much more smartly and wisely than we have done before. And using it also the new technology, because what Ukrainians are saying to us, we are acting like everything is like in the old years, and things has changed.
Yeah.
And we have to change our thinking too.
Rasa, your point.
Of course, increasing spendings percentages are very important. And here, despite I have some criticism on Donald Trump, but on this I have to admit that his push to Europeans to spend more was very positive message and very positive thing he did. We in Lithuania now, our spendings for this year will be 5.38%.
Yeah.
So this is because we understand and people understand our reality. But on the other hand, I would say, I will quote Andrius Kubilius, our Commissioner for Defense, not percentages fighting in the battlefield, you know. We have to have, I will not repeat what you did mention, all those common understanding. So that's why me and many other more than 50 now members of European Parliament, including you, Merja, we created an informal group for defense, European Defense Union. And we would like to push especially member states to wake up. Yes, I feel that some member states, they still live in the past, as it was before. You know, as it is very famous quote of politologist Clark, politicians think about next election, statesmen think about next generation. So now we have to be in one, to think about next election. Of course, it's important, but to think more about next generation.
You say there are 50 like-minded members of parliament with you on this, but the parliament has 700 plus members. Where are the others here? Is this, now my question is this a point where large majorities agree, even in the public, Merja? The rearming of Europe.
Yeah. I think we have just started, because we realized that no the big part of us share the same view, which is the situation in Europe or in white world. And I think always there has been people who start the game. And I think 50 is more than good because we have different countries, different political background, different history, different political history. And we can find colleagues from our countries, from different kind of background, and build up a common understanding around this. I was surprised that we already have the 50 because there was lots of people who were saying that, oh, we just look and check out things. I think we have made the wake-up call. Now we have to continue.
Yeah. All right. Well, now it's time to move on to our fifth and final round. And now we want to do something different. I'm going to ask you a set of questions, and you can only answer with yes or no. Should Ukraine agree to a ceasefire even if Russia keeps some occupied territory?
No, immediately.
I think
Yes or no?
it's up to Ukrainians to decide. But I think yes.
Yes.
But not, to recognize. Not without recognition. It's very important.
Should European countries send more weapons to Ukraine?
Yes.
Of course, yes.
Should Ukraine be allowed to strike targets deep inside Russia with Western weapons?
Yes.
Yes.
Have cheap drones made traditional military hardware less relevant?
No.
Maybe not.
Interesting. Should Ukraine join NATO before the war ends?
No, I know that can't be possible.
Yes, with one additional sentence. Ukraine today is acting as member of NATO. They are defending NATO member states.
Okay, I have one more. Will this war still be ongoing in 1 year's time?
Hope not.
I am afraid, yes, will.
All right, and that final answer brings us to the end of this edition of The Ring. Thanks again to Rasa Juknavietchene and Merja Kilonen for a lively conversation here from the European Parliament. Thanks to our audience at home. If you like, you can continue the conversation by sending us your comments to thering@euronews.com. We'd love to have your feedback. That's it for today. I'm Stefan Grobe. Take care and see you soon on Euronews.